I've been wanting to do this for years. On the first Sunday of the month, right, I'm inviting us to do something different. And that is to take some time to just check in with each other. We've been studying about vulnerability and authenticity. We've had some workshops. We've had a sacred healing workshop a couple of times. We started visioning. And, we're starting to come back to the center. More people are showing up. And so things are changing. We're in transition. And so I just want to give us the opportunity, us, as all of us, the opportunity to share, what's been going on for you. What insights have you discovered? What opportunities have you had to practice vulnerability and authenticity? What has the visioning process been like? How are you feeling about being in this transition period as a center? And so I'll ask Shara to pass the mic around if anyone would like to share. And I can start us off. So I'll just share that, I love that today's core value is love. I mean, that's the reason why I'm here in this center, because of the love I have for all of you and our center. And this teaching has been so transforming in my life. And somebody, I met with a distant relative a couple of weeks ago, and they asked, well, what made you want to become a minister? And when I first found the Sierra Center, it was at Seaman's Lodge. And we were Religious Science International, right? And I started taking the classes, and I really just dove right in because I felt like I had found my home. And the classes just transformed my life. The Science of Mind and Spirit teaching was an amazing opportunity for me to heal from some of my deepest wounds and to continue to grow and evolve on my spiritual path. And at that time, in order to teach Science of Mind classes, you had to be a minister to Religious Science International. And so I thought way back then, at some point, I would want to become a minister. That's not the case in Centers for Spiritual Living. You can be a practitioner, you don't have to be a minister to teach. But that's when I first felt like, well, I'm going to become a minister because I want to help transform people's lives through this teaching. And so because of the profound healing experiences I've had and the life transformation processes that I've gone through in community, I mean, you all, some of you all have seen me over the years, the things that I've gone through, really challenging times. And to be able to have a loving community that could hold me physically and emotionally and spiritually has been a huge blessing to me in my life. And so that's why I'm here today, to be of service to you, because I love you all. I love this community very much. And it's just an honor for me to be able to be here and be in this bridge minister. It's a bridge minister position. And for the next few months, for however long that lasts. And I'm just grateful to all of you for loving me and being the witness of my journey. And I just thank you. And so I'm going to give you the opportunity to share.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I feel that the last 2 or 3 years has been really challenging for a lot of people. I heard something about loneliness is now a epidemic like obesity in America. And so, and I've always been kind of drawn to groups where we're pulling together and being authentic with each other and honest. And so I have a few groups like that I belong to, and I treasure those like you do. And I think that because the last years have been so intense, it's a good time for this center to figure out how we can attract those people who are sitting at home lonely, or looking at Zoom or whatever, the people who need what you're talking about, the love that we have here. And I'm not sure how that's going to happen, but I'm sure there's a way, because all the other, or I shouldn't say all, a lot of the other centers are having some success attracting people, and so we can learn from them. But I'm in a lot of ways grateful that we have a small group, because we're getting very tight, this group of people. I feel like we're all getting to know each other and welcoming new people, and so we're creating a foundation, and that feels really powerful, and appreciate you and your style and creating that. So.
Thank you.
One of the things that I read the Science of Mind magazine every morning, and I'm trying to take this in, is that I can see things going on in other people's lives, but I haven't been able to see what's going on in mine. How do I change myself into a more loving, kind person? So I've been paying attention. If something triggers me, I start to have a judgment about it, I think, no, that's something within me that I need to change. And so I've been really working on that. And Rev Julia has been such a good example of, being authentic and open. I've always wanted to put on a good face. I didn't want people to see my faults. So I'm really working on that right now, and feel that that's going to help me, and those around me, of course. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you. Let me begin with, I'm Van. I'm the one who did the weed whacking, and my dear sister, is Hillary. Now, you touched on something called loneliness, and yes, it is affecting a lot of Americans today. I find this very sad. Luckily for me, I have a sister. So if you have blood out there, call them up, say hi. Okay, folks out there that might be lonely, my heart really touches upon your loneliness. I have been extremely lonely many times in my life. I was a bachelor for 40 years before I married my dear wife. Now, I can't tell you how to live your life, but I can let you know that there are angels all around us. The Spirit, our spirit that lives within us, is part of that. We have actually been there and back again. It might be what you would call a physical place, a dimension that we're not familiar with, because we can't get there and get back. Actually, for some of the more enlightened, they actually have been able to get there and back, or be there and here too. You know, the old saying, being two different places at once. Yeah, sure. But in a spiritual sense, yeah, you can be. You can be there with all the people that have passed, and you can be in touch with their spirit. Like the Chinese and their ancestors, the Japanese and their ancestors are very good at that, their societies. But yeah, stay connected with your past, it's okay. Stay connected with all the people that have passed in your life, it's okay. They're still there, a piece of them, even though a lot of them have been reborn and are back again. if you believe in that sort of thing. So, to everyone with a good spirit who are alone, you're not really alone. You're surrounded by love.
Thank you, Van. I've been wanting to say this for a long time. About 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, I was in a really dark place. I didn't even want to talk to people. And I'm kind of a social butterfly. I need people, but I didn't want anybody around me. I was so, I was so rotten inside. But then something deep inside, I thought about a person of light and a beautiful person. And so I felt a little vulnerable doing this because I wasn't feeling good about myself at all. So I called up the Sierra Center for Spiritual Living, thinking I was going to have to ask permission from Reverend Rafe if I could go out on a date with Hillary. I actually thought that. Because that's how bad I felt about myself. I thought I had to ask somebody else. But the message got to me, and about this time last year, 2 years ago, Hillary answered me back, and she was happy to meet me at the Holbrooks for a very expensive dinner. And it wasn't that good, but I'll tell you what, the company was great. When I saw her car coming around the corner and that face, and I've been on a magic carpet ever since. Thank you for the love. And I want to tell you, it pays to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
It really does. I took quite a chance, but it was okay. It worked out great.
Thanks, Don. Anybody else?
So since I left the Sierra Center as the senior minister, I had taken a year off to go to Unity in that time so that Reverend Rafe could settle in. And then I was able to come back, and then, of course, we had the pandemic, so I served periodically as a practitioner. And but I decided I needed to get involved in other organizations, and so I did. And now I am involved in so many organizations that I am busy every day. And then I decided, I was once told that the Chinese character for busy is mind destroy. They put those two pieces together. And that's the word for busyness. And so I've realized that by spreading myself out over all of these organizations, I have some time to devote to each one, but not really quality time because I have too many other things on my plate. And so it's really time to figure out what's important and to do the very best I can with those organizations that I want to be a part of that are more important to me. So that's the transition I'm going through right now, is letting go and stepping up.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Well, I think the whole world fell apart during the pandemic, and now we're all figuring out how to put the world back together. And you can never step in the same stream twice. So we're not going to just go back and be able to wave a magic wand to the way things were. And so for me, while it can be the unknown can be scary, but it's also a wonderful opportunity to be creative and inventive and to consciously figure out what really we want and create it.
Thank you, Judy.
It really helps to be vibrationally with the people in the center, because I'm going through that transition, like organizing every little thing, because we're being called to be all that we can be right now, to help the planet lift up. And for us to really go deep and find our next step, even if it's scary, even if we have to go up a huge level and show up at that level. And it's good to hear Lanny, because I had to, put all my, my herb book, my healing book, my vibrational sound therapy, all my gifts, and really concentrate on the next level we're to go up to. Because we're all being called to lift up. And the spiritual aspect of it is so important, because it's like, okay, I need that guidance at this time, that guidance to make sure I'm on the, right path. Because it's huge for us. But we're willing and able, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd just like to add that puppies helped me through the pandemic. So you never know where the love's going to come from. I have 2 adorable puppies. And every morning I wake up and I turn on puppy music, which is usually children's songs, and I dance. And they sit on my recliner, where I used to sit all by myself, and watch me dance, fascinated. So I invite you to all think about where love can come from, because it's not always human.
True. Thank you. Well, thank you all for sharing. It's such a beautiful demonstration of the wisdom of spirit that is in each one of us. The things that you've shared are just beautiful. And, we have that wisdom inside of us, and we can always go there to check in and ask, what is mine to do? What's the next right thing for me to do, right? And I love what I heard in the room today, because it was very much about the talk title was something like, there's light in the dark, right? And, discovering what lies underneath our surface. And one of the ways we can discover that is through meditation and just taking time out to be silent and observe our thoughts and see what comes up when we do that. What are those thought patterns that are going on in there, right? That we may not be consciously aware of because we're so busy. And when we can just stop and be in the silence. And that gives us the opportunity to discover some of the work that we can do on ourselves. Like, I'm not really glad that I'm thinking those things. What lies underneath that? What needs to change? What needs to be healed? And then, we have the opportunity, if we want, to share it with somebody and be vulnerable. And like Dawn pointed out, vulnerability can pay off big time. Right? It can build those bridges to love between us. And so I just feel very grateful to each one of you. This is, when people come to visit our center, the thing that they mention, I've heard personally, and maybe you have too, is that we have a very loving community. And I believe that's true. And I feel like, it is a gift that there's just a few of us, because it does feel like we're building up a close-knit foundation to open up to what Spirit has in mind for us You know, we don't know. It could be anything. It could look totally different than it does now. So I invite us not to be attached to what we think we want or what we think it should be, but just continue to be open and neutral to what Spirit has in mind for us. Because, you know, I personally, I just be happy doing church outside in nature. That's my idea of what, you know, what would feel great. So, you know, but it's not about me, it's about all of us collectively opening up to ourselves, to that infinite intelligence that already knows the highest good for this center. And it can be something totally magnificent that we haven't even thought of individually. So that's what I love about the co-creation process, is that, you know, I remember when I served on the board, just being on the board, it was so exciting to me to see each individual idea come together and create something magnificent that we couldn't do just with one or two of us, right? So I love this process. I love being part of this community. Thank you for showing up and shining your light and being willing to do the work that it takes to be our authentic selves. And I'm just going to end with that. And with great gratitude, I'm going to turn it back over to the musicians, I think. Is that right? I might have to look at the, the intentional giving. Okay, I'm going to stand up and go read the directions.